May 21st, 2022. Halfcast 300, episode 300. Let's go. Of course, I have a few things to share with you guys. An evening of reflection. Shall we? Wells Fargo held fake interviews to feign diversity efforts, employees claim. This is nothing that we didn't know already. All these major companies, all these major corporations do something exactly, if not similar to this. It just seems like Wells Fargo is always the ones getting caught hopping the turnstile. Wells Fargo routinely interviewed women and people of color to record diversity efforts in its hiring practices, despite already offering the positions to other candidates. Several employees have alleged the banking company has a long-standing informal policy that employers interview diverse candidates defined by the company as women or people of color for open positions. However, several employees said they began to realize candidates were often interviewed for positions that had already been offered to someone else. How would it feel to get hired by one of these companies and find out that the inside joke is that you didn't get hired because you were qualified? You got hired because you were a woman or because you were black or because you were Spanish. Flip all this shit over. That would have to be a very weird vibe around the workplace. You feel very uncomfortable being on the other side of that table doing an interview, and you know that candidate has a zero chance of getting the job. Zero. Joe Bruno, a former Wells Fargo executive, told Action News, these are real human beings on the other side of the table. They have families. I have a family. It's just wrong. Bruno brought up his concerns to his superiors, but was dismissed. He said then in August 2021, the 58-year-old executive was fired, telling the New York Times it was an act of retaliation for telling the higher ups the fake interviews were inappropriate and morally wrong and ethically wrong. Absolutely. Absolutely. The former executive is one of seven current and former Wells Fargo employees who said the company instructed them to interview diverse candidates for positions that were filled. Five other employees were also aware of the policy or helped put it into practice, they told the outlet. Rather than attempt to increase diversity, the interviews seemed more an effort to record diversity efforts on paper, possibly as a safeguard in case of an audit into Wells Fargo's hiring practices, the employee said. This is the same Wells Fargo bank that was signing customers up for banking products and signing them up for separate accounts without getting the customer's permission and using their personal information without the customer's permission. So, for a long time now, integrity has not been Wells Fargo's trump card. Bank executives encouraged employees to follow its hiring guidelines and said they don't condone the alleged conduct described by the employees. Of course, nobody's going to say it on the record. To the extent that individual employees are engaging in the behavior as described by the New York Times, we do not tolerate it. Rochelle Burton, a Wells Fargo spokeswoman, told the outlet. So the most hilarious part when these companies get caught doing something shady is that they always have to have someone draw the short straw to get on and tell everyone that, hey, we're an equal opportunity employer. We don't condone those practices that we're being accused of. We hold ourselves to the pinnacle of standards when it comes to hiring broads and darkies. Well, wait, was that recording? Can we play it back? No, we were live. Oh God. Wells Fargo has previously faced allegations of discrimination in its hiring practices. I am not surprised, paying 7.8 million in back wages and interest to resolve accusations of hiring discrimination. The payment was part of a settlement with the Department of Labor to resolve allegations the company had discriminated against 34,193 black applicants. The banking company also faced a lawsuit in 2013 from Black financial advisors who sued over racial discrimination, prompting the bank to pay nearly 36 million and pledged to take actions designed to enhance opportunities for employment, earnings, and advancement of African American financial advisors and financial advisor trainees. So that piece alone should let us know that this just wasn't a few bad seeds at the top corrupting the hiring practices of the Wells Fargo banking organization. This is an underlying culture of discrimination. Before reaching the settlement in 2017, Wells Fargo executives began requiring employers to interview at least one woman or person of color for each open position, according to Burton, but that policy was never ratified and only applied to certain high level positions. She said, particularly those that paid more than $100,000. However, the fake interviews were for several types of positions, including those below the salary threshold, Bruno said. Other bank leaders denied those allegations. Of course, you're going to deny, because if you want your retirement, if you want your golden parachute and your gold watch and cake or whatever the hell they give you after your service, you're going to keep your fucking mouth shut. Of the 30,000 people Wells Fargo hired in 2021, 81% were not white men, according to the outlet. It's not clear how many of those employees received salaries above $100,000. A Maine town reportedly shut down after its only clerk quit when her vacation request was denied. I don't care what type of company, what type of business, whatever you're running, if it all hinges on one person coming to work or not coming to work, you have to do some serious replanning. A tiny town in Maine effectively shut down after its clerk resigned from her job after her vacation request was rejected, a local outlet reported this week. Listen, Punxsutawney Phil only works on Groundhog's Day. You don't see the whole town shut down until February 1st. The Bangor Daily News reported that Christian Bouchard has served as the clerk since 2020 for the town of Passadumkeag, which is located in Penobscot County and has a population of about 356 people. You can have one person be the clerk every day. And you're covered for the whole year. You could give that lady one damn day off. Bouchard said that she made a $13,500 annual salary and worked at least 16 hours a week per the outlet. I came in on my days off to complete certain tasks because 16 hours a week is just not enough to do everything that needed to be done over there. I was your lover and your secretary. She told the Bangor Daily News. In addition to working as a clerk, the newspaper report working every day of the week. In addition to working as a clerk, the newspaper reported that her other duties included handling records, licensing pets, registering vehicles for residents, and working as the town liaison with the State Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife. Well, goddamn, for all that, she could have been the mayor. She putting in all the work. Bouchard quit on April 7th after a board of selectmen failed to approve her 2 week vacation request due to not having someone to work for her. This resulted in the small town shutting down, according to the Bangor Daily News. That is sad. Her position is not the only one in town, which closed in late April, that is not filled. The outlet reported that Passadumkeag is missing an animal control officer, a code enforcement officer, and an accessor. Officials are actively looking for people to take on those roles. The market right now for qualified employees that are looking to work part time is very difficult. Treasurer Barbara Boyer told the Bangor Daily News, "We're doing what we can to keep everything going. Instead of working one woman half to death, how about the leaders go to the city and tell them either you volunteer or be voluntold, or we just going to be without these services to your detriment? Volunteer or be voluntold? Pediatrician tried hiring Hitman to assassinate her ex-husband. There's no such thing as hitmen. Here's how it plays out. Either you're gonna get some weirdo on the internet that just wants to hear your story, he's doing it for cosplay, some nerd, or you're gonna catch an actual undercover officer that's just fishing for people like you. A pediatrician in Kentucky has been accused of trying to hire a hitman to kill her ex-husband. The Department of Justice announced on Friday federal prosecutors alleged that on May 15th, 2022, 52-year-old Stephanie Russell contacted someone she believed she was hiring to murder her ex-husband. That person was actually an FBI undercover employee, DOJ stated. I'm always fascinated to try to understand what prompts somebody to go to a hitman. Like, what movie, what TV show were you watching to think that hitmen are just growing on trees, that you find them in your local pub or bar or supercuts? While we don't have any US statistics, research by the Australian Institute of Criminality estimated that approximately 2 to 4% of their murders are for hire, said Dr. Joni E. Johnston. Almost 20% of the successful contracts the target died were motivated by a romantic relationship gone wrong. 16% were financially motivated. I thought it would be the other way around, that money would be the biggest motivator, but I guess it's love. Hey, bleeding hearts. Russell ultimately agreed to pay $7,000 to the UCE undercover employee in exchange for murdering her ex-husband on May 18th, 2022. Russell placed 3500. Put some money on that man's head, man. 3,500. Sometimes I'm sorry. Get some edible arrangements or something, man, outside of her medical office in a Dropbox as half of the payment. She agreed to pay the other half once the murder took place. Prosecutors with the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Western District of Kentucky wrote in a news release on Friday. She wanted him gone, man. Russell was arrested by the FBI on Thursday and made a court appearance on Friday. She has been charged with the use of interstate commerce facilities in a commission of murder for hire and faces a maximum sentence of 10 years. Only 10 years if convicted. I guess because the guy didn't get killed. According to DOJ, the case is being investigated by the FBI as well as the Louisville Metropolitan Police Department. According to news station WLKY, Russell is a pediatrician who works at a practice called Kids Life Pediatrics in Prospect, Kentucky. Newsweek could not immediately find information on who is representing Russell in court, and her pediatric office was closed when reached on Friday afternoon. What would you ask her job anyway? It's not like she had a problem with any of the kids or any other kids' parents or anything like that. Fortunately, Dr. Johnston said most plots do not result in death, and even when they do, the plotter rarely gets away with it. Here's why: because few murder masterminds have a criminal background. They don't know where to find someone willing to kill for money and tend to look to acquaintances, neighbors, or other inept or inexperienced individuals to do their dirty work. Most acquaintances or neighbors are not willing to do this dirty work and tend to call law enforcement to express their concern. The mastermind has already told every Tom, Dick, and Harry that they wish the target would drop dead, and as a result, immediately becomes the prime suspect when it happens. And my bullet point is the guy on the internet that's playing like he's a hitman to either take your money, or once he figures out that you're serious, he doesn't want any part of it. He thought it was a game and he goes to the police. Men rolled back odometers and then sold at least 118 cars to trick buyers. Feds say that 1988 Volkswagen Fox only had 3,500 miles on it. In a long running odometer rollback scheme, a car dealership owner worked with his partners to lower the mileage on used vehicles, which is highly illegal. before reselling them for more. Federal authorities say by deceiving purchasers into believing the vehicles had fewer miles than they actually had, they sold the vehicles at inflated prices, resulting in consumers paying more for the vehicles than they would have paid had they known the true mileages. According to a May 19th news release from the Department of Justice in the Eastern District of Pennsylvania, now, two New Jersey men have pleaded guilty in a fraud case. Felix Gronowski, 58, of Matawan, the used car dealership owner, pleaded guilty May 18th to conspiracy to commit securities fraud, according to federal court records. The next day, Alec Morganov, 34, of Manalapan, pleaded guilty to the same count in connection with his work at Gronowski's dealership. Together, authorities say they were involved in selling at least 118 cars with fake odometer readings and falsified vehicle titles for a loss of $674,606 to consumers. Carfax my ass. The defense attorney representing Gronowski said he has no comment at this time. What is he going to say? Morganov's defense attorney did not immediately respond to a request for comment from McClatchy News. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says odometer schemes like this one cost U.S. car buyers at least $1 billion every year through the fraudulent sales of over 450,000 vehicles annually. I didn't know it was that much. When individuals misrepresent the mileage on used cars, they deceive consumers into paying more money for those cars while also hiding vital information that can impact vehicle safety and repair costs. That would be the major issue. Principal Deputy Assistant Attorney General Brian M. Boynton, head of the Justice Department Civil Division, said in a news release, in the case of Gornowski and Morganov, it sounds like a vodka brand. Authorities say they admitted to selling high mileage used vehicles with false low mileage readings entered on the vehicle's odometers and titles between 2012 and 2016. They did so by buying the high mileage cars, altering the odometers to show less miles, and then obtaining motor vehicle titles that reflect the new readings. According to the news release, Gronowski and one of his co-conspirators would query a website with commercial vehicle history records to see if the cars had current mileage readings. According to court records, if the true higher mileage reading was listed, they would take the vehicles with the rollback odometer to get an oil change and service receipt reflecting the new fake readings. Whoa. With the receipts, they would submit correction requests to the website by impersonating the vehicle's previous owners. Records show this is incredibly elaborate. In other cases, authorities say Morganov and co-conspirators would ask the original sellers to leave the mileage disclosures on the titles blank. If the titles were not left blank, court records say they would impersonate the sellers and request a new title to fill in a lower mileage. They found the used cars and online and newspaper advertisements from private sellers in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and other states, according to court records. The cars were then sold at auctions to other used car dealers, court documents say, thereby defrauding other vehicle dealers and ultimately end consumer purchasers. On average, authorities say the vehicle odometers were rolled back 64,489 miles, providing the co-conspirators with an average profit of $5,717 per car. Whoa. Gronowski and Morganov are scheduled for sentencing on August 31st and September 1st, according to the news release. They each face at least 5 years in prison. Fun show, fun show, fun show. That being said, I'm going to wrap this one up, but I'll be sure to talk to you guys very, very soon. Adios.